Hello, Radiant One, and welcome to Spiritual Business with Mariaestela, the show and podcast for soul-driven, heart-based spiritual entrepreneurs, business owners, and Magdalene's rising, ready to expand and wanting to lead with love in business and life. I am your host, spiritual business coach, mentor, catalyst, and facilitator, Mariaestela, and it is my deep honor, my great pleasure, and joy to share this episode with you. If you feel the deep stirrings of something new asking to be born through you, go to mariaestela.com/DCIA to download the free guide, Divine Clarity and Inspired Action, that I've created for you. Divine Clarity and Inspired Action will help you to connect deeply with your divine feminine essence of gnosis, wisdom, knowledge, and intuition, as well as activate your divine masculine essence of action, creation, expansion, and building, so that you may experience the satisfaction, the joy, and the liberation that comes from bringing to life that which you are here to birth, while being, doing, and living your soul's divine purpose. On my website, you will also find show notes, transcripts, and previous episodes. Hello, Radiant One, and a very big and a very warm welcome into today's episode, in which I am going to be sharing about something that is or can be very vulnerable. It's a question that that often comes up in sessions with clients, and it is about, what do you do if the people who have been, part of your, where you're like, of not getting you to where you're at right now, but have been part of your journey so far. What do you do if those people are not to be part of your journey moving forward? Because you are a soul-driven, heart-based spiritual entrepreneur. You have a big, caring, kind, compassionate heart for people and for those within your circles. And so letting go of people who no longer serves you can be a real challenge. And at the same time, to me, as a spiritual business coach, it is also a very, very powerful lesson in assessing your worth, in creating your success, in allowing yourself to grow, and giving yourself the best possible surroundings and opportunities to move forward with your vision and your dream. And as human beings, we're each and every one of us on our own path. And so while you may start out at a similar place with someone, you might also find, as a lot of my clients do, that at some point or another, you have moved in a different direction, or you have moved further ahead. You have worked on your shit. And I want to say that when you work with a spiritual business coach like me, you're going to be working on your limiting beliefs. You're going to be working on expanding love, dissolving fear. And that means propelling your business. It means growing your business. And that gives you an advantage that someone who doesn't do that work doesn't have. And so you're bound to move ahead of them, quote unquote. I say ahead because, it's just, you're just a little further on the path, and they might get there, they might not get there. But when you work with someone like me, I find it's very common and very normal for me to hear that my clients have moved to a place where those that had walked with them, for a while, no longer serves them, or also, even worse, may even pull them down or drag them down. I've had clients who report how when they show up in the world and when they shine, when they share their products and their services, when they share their truth, when they just, shine, they've received horrible messages from quote unquote so-called friends who think that they're boasting, who think that what they're saying is wrong or out of place, and that, just the most, like I said, horrible things. And each time I've had to say, like, is this someone, because is this someone that you consider a friend, whether it be within your, like a business friend or a friend? Because if a friend of mine or a business friend said something like that to me, I would be like, I would be very strongly reconsidering that. And you can do that by at the same, and also at the same time acknowledge that that is coming from a hurt place within them. Very often those who try to trash us, those who hate on us, those who despise us, those who don't like us, they come from a place of hurt. They see something in us that they don't think that they have in themselves, and then in order to feel good, they try to pull us down, or and by that way feeling better. Now, I know that Yeshua said, turn the other cheek. And I think an important lesson missed about the turning the cheek is that he turned the cheek, meaning he didn't allow for himself to be slapped in the same way over and over again. He turned the cheek, and that means that you come from a different place. So you can let people go, and you can let people know this is not acceptable, while at the same time holding space for understanding that they're hurt, sending them love and sending them compassion. That doesn't mean that you need to engage with them again. It doesn't mean that you need to quote unquote help them or support them, but it means that you can actually set very strong boundaries for you and yourself, for your success, for your movement forward, for your business and for your services. So that's just one way of doing that. The second thing is, if it's someone where you're like, I think the most common term, and I'm not an expert in this, is what would be called an energy vampire, like someone who's constantly draining you. So again, you might have started out, in the same path, but then you have moved ahead. You've done the work. You've faced your fears. You've cleared your whatever's been going on, and you've moved ahead. And so that the construction of your relationship with that person, the way that it used to be, no longer serves you, but it drains you, and it takes time away from you doing the work in your business, promoting your business, creating your services, working with clients, and all of that is required within a business. And so in that case, it is, again, extremely important that you set boundaries for yourself, and that you also come out and say, I recently had someone who came to me with this exact, in a session, came to me with this exact question. And the way that I usually phrase it is that, if it's about, I like to be open and honest. And so if you have been able to, for example, let's say you've been able to meet with someone at a coffee shop to work, even though you know that a lot of the work that you've been doing has been talking. If you know that no longer serves you, and you no longer have the time for it really, because you're engaged in the products that you do, or, delivering your services and all that, marketing, promoting your things, showing up in different places, doing workshops, events, and all that, then it's about, I prefer honesty and being clear and letting that person know, listen, my business has moved to a point where this is no longer possible for me. I love you and I would love to meet with you. If that's the case, it might not be the case. But when we meet, I need for us to meet, outside of normal working hours, or I need us to meet, this in this time, and then, don't have it be about business. So you can actually come from a place of love, and still be letting go. In terms of letting go, or shedding, as I like to call it, as human beings, we seem to have lost, and I've said this before, but as human beings, we seem to have lost the knowledge, or we've distanced ourselves from nature. We don't understand that we're not a part from nature. We are a part of nature. And just as we have the cycles of the year, just as we have, a tree growing, shedding its leaves, sprouting, and all of that, in just the same way, we human beings have cycles. And that goes within relationships, as it goes within, products and services, as it goes within, basically everything in life comes in and goes in cycles. And so it's merely, and I say merely because I want to try and normalize it, that there are times when we should, and it can be painful. I understand that it can be really painful if you've had, a deep connection with someone, and you've each served each other at that particular point in your journey. It can be extremely painful to realize that this is no longer working for me and or for us, and then let it go. But I also know the deep sense of joy, relief that comes from you living your truth. And that, part of living your truth is letting go of what no longer serves you. And that comes in relationships. And when we talk about business, that is, true in many different ways, in many different forms. And once you understand that it is simply normal and a part of, the way it is. And it's not to say, ditch people and just leave them high and dry and be see ya suckers and not care for them, but also understand that you have a vision, you have a mission, you have a business, and you have a family, or some loved ones that are that's why you do this, and that's the most important. And so continuously allowing yourself to not speak your truth, to not to go have meetings with people even if you don't want to, and even if you can see it doesn't serve you and it drains you, that ultimately doesn't serve anyone. So I hope that you can understand that the shedding of relationships of people is a normal and cyclical part of nature. I see it as that. And again, I want to emphasize that it is possible to come from a space of love in doing that, and that comes from speaking your truth, and also from understanding that it doesn't mean that you're going to be mortal enemies. Again, it depends on where that person is at, but it doesn't mean that you have to be mortal enemies. But it just means that I'm moving in a different direction. My business has taken off in a different direction, and so I don't have the time for this, essentially. And again, like I said, that can be really, really painful. That is something that I hear often. I don't want to see often, but this is a part of, and this goes whether or not, this doesn't matter where you're at in your, on your entrepreneurial journey. If you're in the beginning of your journey, if you have, moved ahead and are, 3 to 5 years in, or if you're 10 years in, I bet you, and this is going to be my call to action for this episode, is I would love for you to take inventory, to look at your business and see, what can I shed? What have I been holding on to out of misconstrued idea that, oh, this person helped me? What have I been where have I been allowing myself to hold myself back? Because essentially that is what you're doing. When you do not let go of what no longer serves you, you're holding yourself back. It's like a weight that is draining you energetically as well as physically. It's simply holding you back from moving forward, because you're allowing yourself to be loaded with probably a guilty conscience, maybe some shame, maybe some fear of what they will think if you come out and say this, and also fear of the unknown, what's going to happen once I've said this. So my call to action for you today is to take an inventory of what can I be shed, what's no longer serving me, and what can I let go of. And once you do that, I would love to hear from you in the comments to hear what is your biggest takeaway from this episode. I love you. Take care. That is what I had for you in today's episode of Spiritual Business with Mariaestela. I hope it served you well. For all of the deets and the details, click the link in the description. And if you enjoyed this episode, support its message by sharing it with a friend or on social media, or leave me a comment or review. God bless.